Hey everybody, I'm sure some of you guys may have been wondering about my modified Kodak PlayTouch camera. You know, back in the summer, I modified this camera big time, as you can see. I got tired of the missile runtime of this thing. Now, the battery that was in this camera was not in that good a condition, let alone it was only 1,000 milliamp hours. Now, for a little bitty lithium-ion cell, a little bitty LiPo battery, that was actually a pretty decent capacity. You'll get about, let's say, about an hour of runtime out of it, which for me that's unacceptable. I gotta have at least 2 hours of runtime. So I decided to go. Once I started, popping, cells out of lithium-ion battery packs, for laptops, these 18650 batteries, I decided I'm going to make this camera run a lot longer. Now, initially, the way I had this configured was I had these two 18650s, together in parallel, soldered directly into the camera. Basically, you just when you pop the battery out, you have those three little terminals. You have positive on one side, negative on the other, and in the middle you actually have a lead for a thermistor to monitor the battery's temperature. That's important for charging. But if you're not charging the camera, if you're not charging the batteries using the camera, the thermistor isn't really needed. I left it out in this current setup. So basically what I did here was I did away with the door that actually goes to the camera, and I'll explain why shortly. And I just simply soldered in this parallel battery box. I got a pack of these off of eBay, and yeah, one thing you have to be careful about with these is at least this one here was noted. The plastic molding identified this as a series pack, but if you connect the batteries in series, you basically dead short them out, and you can have a fire on your hands. So that's one thing you gotta watch out about. But anyways, this is it's basically a two parallel bank. So basically, you double your capacity of your batteries. These batteries are rated for about 2150 milliamp hours or so, or 2200. Let's just call it 2200 milliamp hours, just for an example. So together, you get 4400 milliamp hours. Now, mind you, the original battery in this camera was rated for only about, I think, 900 milliamp hours, or 1,000 milliamp hours. So we are quadrupling the run, the capacity that this camera has available. And it really does make a huge effect on how long it can run. I'll be honest with you guys. You set this thing out on the front porch in the middle of the day, it will fill up a 16 gigabyte card before the batteries run out. Now at night, it will actually run till the batteries run out, because at night there's not as much detail to record. But I have literally, on two sets of batteries, I had this time-lapse shooting video from sunset to sunrise, completely overnight, from dusk to dawn. This thing will run on a pair of batteries like this. It will run for about 5 hours. So if you have a PlayTouch ZI-10 and you just wish it would run for a much longer time, well, this is your answer. 18650s. So anyways, there's a couple of things I want to go and talk about if you decide to mod your camera like this, particularly your ZI-10 PlayTouch. You gotta be careful about this, and I'm pretty serious about it too, because you may notice how I have these batteries oriented. I had the positive down at the bottom and the negative up top. That's because this camera, and this is also why I have foregone the use of the door that that slit on basically the cover it's slit on this thing. This camera it's probably as a way to protect the internal components from static. The entire camera, like this spot here, you see this metal spot there. Here you go. You can see this metal here around sensor and the CMOS sensor, that's all connected to negative. So if you have your positives up here, and I mean, I found this out when I was actually desoldering the two batteries because initially I had two batteries just wired into this thing, and actually had this thing charging those batteries. I noticed I got a puff of smoke when I was desoldering the batteries. That's because the soldering iron briefly touched between the positive of the cells and one of these metal spots, which made a dead short. So, of course, you want to be careful. Basically, if you decide to do what I'm doing here, you want your batteries to be oriented in this direction where you have positive down at the bottom and have your negative up here. Helps minimize any sort of risk of, like, your positive accidentally touching negative up here. Anyways, if you look carefully inside here, you might be able to see the wires going into the terminals. You can barely see it. Oh, there you go. You can see how the wires are just simply soldered directly onto the what were the terminals that would touch the pads on the original battery. Basically, as I mentioned, the left one is positive, the center one is just a thermistor lead, and the far right is your negative. So I don't think I have anything hooked up to the center one. Basically, the thermistor lead would actually couple a thermistor between the the thermistor lead and your negative. Matter of fact, if I can try to shine a flashlight in there, you can probably see a little bit better. I can show you how this thing is actually wired up. Now you probably see a bit of solder on that center tab. That's because when I had the two batteries to solder into this thing, I did use a thermistor of a laptop pack, because I did actually check the the thermistor in the original battery pack, and they came out as camera and the thermistor out of a laptop pack, and they both had the same resistance values, so same temperature characteristics. So I had a thermistor soldered into that center T lead, but it's no longer there now since I just simply charged my batteries on my 18650 charger, which is right up here. So yeah, anyways, it's pretty simple to do. I mean, if you had this camera out in public, it might draw some attention, maybe good, maybe bad. Because because people aren't used to seeing batteries that are like this. 18650s are not very common, in the United States are not very common being in standalone cells. They're usually in something like a drill battery or a laptop battery or something like that. You have a nice little collection of 18650s over there. And let's show you an example here. Here's your AA cell, and there's your 18650. You can clearly see the huge size difference between an 18650 and a standard AA. So yeah, basically these 18650s, they put out the exact same voltage as the original battery pack, of course being lithium ion, which is 3.7 volts. That's why it was just a simple, wire it in and you're done. I'll go ahead and power the camera on just to show you guys. And I have to choose, accidentally choose headphones. Start it back up again. So yeah, I mean, this thing, it records for so long that, I would probably want to get a 32 gig SD card for this thing, because it's simply, the battery life is just so great on this. It's just unreal. I mean, now these Panasonic batteries came out of a Dell pack that was over discharged. Many of these batteries were sitting at like, I don't know, 1.6 volts to 2 volts, which is well below what you'd ever want to take a lithium ion cell down to. And for the most part, they actually recovered pretty well. But I did notice that these batteries, when using my my 2-cell USB power bank, my cell phone, from a dead charge, from a dead battery, it would charge my cell phone to about 65% charge. Whereas the green Sony batteries I have over there, which I think are rated for like 2400 milliamp hours, will charge my phone 1.5 times. And I have yet to actually try those green batteries on this camera to see how long it would run. But it's just hard to believe that, I imagine the thing would probably run for about 7 hours. I mean, it's just unreal. So if you have a PlayTouch camera like this, and you're just looking to get extremely long run times, this is the way to do it. I mean, usually with this thing, I don't have to worry about, okay, my batteries charge up, because the batteries, they have such a huge capacity. Like, if I'm just doing regular videos with the things, I want to change the batteries for a long, long time, because they just simply have that much capacity there to them, which is awesome. But anyways, yeah, that's sort of an update on the 18650 powered Kodak PlayTouch. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.